Welcome to Book and Author Literacy Forum. We have Kristina here who will be our host. She will be introducing a lot of her friends as they go on and talk about some of their tips on our topic today. Kristina will be driving the PowerPoint slides. The chat box is open for anyone with questions. Feel free to put your questions in. Our panelists will answer them as we go. This will be recorded and the replay will be sent to everyone who registered if you can't make it today. We thank our panelists for being here, and Kristina, feel free to share your screen.
Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen and go in here, share. Okay, and I'm going to press present.
Here we go.
Present. Okay, here we go. Nice. We all see that? We're all good?
Yes.
Yay, excited. So today we're going to have our webinar sponsored by Book and Author, and it's So You Want to Build Your School Library Brand, Top Tips for Creating a Cohesive Identity. I'm your host, Kristina Holzweiss, and I have my panelists and good friends, Sarah Kelly-Johns, Dr. Kevin Washburn, Jen Leggett, and Robin Porter-Thompson. I am so happy all of my friends are here today. You're going to learn some fabulous things. These are people that I look up to and I learn from every single day. So I can't wait to share a little bit, but then hear a lot from these awesome, awesome people. So branding. So I'm going to Oh, actually, no, it's a little bit about Book and Author. Book and Author is our sponsor. This is called a literacy forum. Book and Author is a one-stop shop for all things literacy, connecting schools, libraries, and PTO leaders with authors near you. And you can look up about literacy forum on the bookandauthor.com/events. And while you're there, you can check out all the amazing authors that are on their website. And if you represent a school, library, or PTO, you can sign up in the next 2 days for free at Book and Author and be entered to win a copy of my book that I co-authored with Sonia Evans, Hacking School Libraries. Thank you so much for sponsoring Book and Author. So check out their website as soon as we get off this Literacy Forum webinar. So I'm Kristina Holzweiss. Here's a little bit about me. You might have seen me on social media. I have a group called School Libraries Rock. I have also Canva librarians and teachers. You can find me most anywhere. And like Yobi says, I don't sleep. And many of my friends don't either, because I could reach out to many of these people and at some point they will answer me too at all hours of the day and night. So yeah, librarians are always working. So what are my tips? Well, I love Canva and I love Canva for branding. We do have some people who are going to touch a little bit more about Canva later on, but I just have some quick tips that you might not know. I love the fact that you can resize designs in Canva. So if you're working on something in Canva, let's say you're working on a presentation and it's landscape, and then you're like, you know what, I would really like to make this an Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, and you're like, oh, what are the dimensions? You can literally take one of your presentations, videos, anything that you have, and go to the magic switch and resize your design. Now, you'll do a little bit of tweaks here and there to get it to move and appear the way you want, but you could either resize the design and change it to that size or that landscape or portrait, or even square, or you can resize it and save it as a copy. So you could take that one project and resize it for Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and have different forms of it. So then you can use it over and over into all those social media platforms. So I love the resizing design through Magic Switch. It's a really great feature of Canva. Another feature of Canva, one of my other one of my other favorite features of Canva is scheduling social media posts in advance. So this way it looks like I'm working while I'm really sleeping. So I can schedule in advance. If you connect your Canva with your social media, you can basically link it all together. And instead of downloading it and publishing it and making such a mess of your desktop, you can push your post directly through Canva and just by connecting your social media. So here, your LinkedIn, your Instagram, your Facebook, TikTok, all of these, you can just push them out. Once you push something out or schedule it, then if you edit it, you have to push it out again because it's a new version. But I love this. Look at this. I can schedule it. I can schedule. Let me play this little video again. I can schedule a social media post. So all you have to do is press schedule, go to the calendar, put in your message, and then you can push them out ahead of time. So with my school library planner, you can actually go through the holidays and push out posts from your library about every holiday or just something special that you're doing. And this way you can do them all in bulk, save your time by chunking your time, doing many of them at once, and then push them out. And then you can forget them. You could just go away and know that those are scheduled for the month, for the week, for the year if you're really, really productive. And my last tip with Canva is checking your analytics. I don't know if you know this, but if you go to Canva and if you share your presentation through the public view link, you can literally go to the top and this right here, these are your insights. It's your analytics, and you can look at the total views. So this presentation right now has been viewed by 11 different viewers, 18 total views because we've been working in it. And so you can see how many views per day, how many days it's been. You can even click the engagement, if there are any links in your post and your social media. You could check all of those things. So I'm just showing you here the views. So at the very basic, you can see your analytics on how many times your post has been viewed. And then you can try to figure out, well, maybe I should schedule on a certain day of the week. Maybe I should schedule a certain time of the day to get more hits, to get more people to look. So this is really great analytics, and we librarians are all about the data. So here's some great data for you. So those are my top tips creating a Canva with your brand. You, Jen Leggett, who's going to show us some awesome things as well with branding. So Jen, a little bit about you.
I am the library media specialist at Jackson Middle School in Champlin, Minnesota. That's just north of Minneapolis. Largest middle school in the state, just over 2,000 kids. 20 plus year educator, started as an English teacher, was a technology integration specialist, and accidentally became a librarian. And it is the best place for me. I'm a maker, mother, reader, creator, lately a space and earth weather fan. Earth weather, tornadoes and stuff for a while. The Northern Lights has been a lot of fun lately. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, I've been jealous about the pictures you post, by the way,
Oh,
about the Northern
the
Lights.
Northern Lights have been beautiful this year. Breathtaking. So
Yeah, I have to get back to Minnesota.
absolutely. I talked about color, and a lot of this comes back also to Canva that Kristina talked about. I set a color scheme coming into my school 3 years ago when I created genre tags for my library. They are in color and alpha order because librarian. But this color scheme then is the theme for the entire space. I saved it as my brand inside of Canva as my palette. The theme for the library is that the library is for everyone and there's a book for everyone. And with all of those different genres, I can go through the conversation with kids going, do you want a graphic novel or a novel? Dragons or no dragons? That, do they want fantasy or not? Current or historical? And I can move kids through the different genres and find a book for everyone by asking questions. So that's the book for everyone, but then the color scheme carries throughout the space. So if you go to the next slide, I use those colors in our signage and our marketing. And I'm actually glad that you mentioned the resizing, because in Canva, I've taken, I started out in Google Slides, but I've taken that now into Canva and used the same slides and changed them multiple times. There are slides, our signs, our scrolling announcements, and those same colors and that same same theme carries throughout. And you can see here signs we have up, our Makerspace challenge, and then physical signage, and our social media, which I also do schedule so that it's not coming out at 10 o'clock at night. It comes out during the day when adults are actually looking or should be looking at social media. And it draws all the different concepts together digitally and with signage. And then next one. And then I brought it into the physical space. This summer I got gifted a very ugly book display, but my library was redesigned with no displays. And I spent the summer creating the display using those same colors. We have a book collection flip book, and I used many of the different colors with that, created that in Canva also. And just today I added this picture in, sorry, I'm losing my voice. I've always wanted to do a display with the mirrors, windows, and sliding glass doors. And I just got bulletin boards in October. So I put together, using those same colors today, the mirrors, windows, and sliding glass doors display. Again, pulling those colors and making sure kids see that they are represented in everything in the library.
Oh, awesome. I like that poster, mirrors, windows, and sliding glass doors. I think I'm going to ask you for that template because that's really awesome.
It's actually dollar store frames. So it's $4.25. It's $5 worth of supplies right there to make a mirror, window, and a sliding glass door
Wow. Oh, wow. That's really cool.
in Canva.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. This is really great. I love how you kept consistency, and you could very easily talk to your students about, where to find things in your library, and it's connected to your social media, and it's connected to your mission. So I love
Absolutely.
everything is tied together. It's very cohesive brand. Fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to go to Robin. Robin, a little bit about you.
Jen, I realized that when I was starting working on this, that we are so similar. So I did start off high school English, and then made the transition to the high school library, but then tech, doing more of the technology, and then headed to the elementary in 2020. Just actually before the pandemic hit, interviewed, but just realized it was kind of time for a change after I'd been at the same high school. But I'm at McAllister Elementary in a little suburb of Savannah. We call our library Camp Read Some More. It's the more you read, the more you know. And I walked into a space that, well, I'll talk about that in a second. But anyway, I'm a chicken mama. We have chickens at our school. We have a huge coop, and I was in charge of those. And we added an agriculture special this year. So I've trained the guy to kind of take over my babies and then have chickens at home. I am happiest outside, which kind of led to the theme in our library. And I'm seriously like a huge fan of yard work and dirt and reading. And so that's pretty much me in a nutshell. And actually, this picture's of me in a tree. I was sitting up in a tree when I had my photo shoot one time. So anyway, that's me in a nutshell. Next
So
slide. Let's learn about camp. Yeah.
So if you follow Jen, you need to follow Jen for her Northern Lights pictures, but you need to follow Robin for her smiles. If you're having a bad day, friends, just go on social
Yeah.
media and watch Robin's videos or just see her photos with smiles, and it's going to make your day. Just
Thank you.
as a
I
side
do
note.
it's the Caroline, it's the Carl hashtag Caroline shenanigans. And so that's kind of when I went to the elementary, all of a sudden you have duties all the time. And at the high school, you had to be in the library the whole time. And so now I direct traffic, and some of the first space half of these kids, especially the little kids, see. And like, first week of school, the pre-K kids are like crying. And so I'm just kind of there. I realized, I could kind of make an impact on that. And so I play music, we're dancing, I've got costumes, and I have the dogs in the car line. I'm giving dog treats all the time. So hashtag car line shenanigans if you want to see those. It is
That's
my
another
favorite part.
that's another webinar.
That is a whole nother webinar. So here's our space. So my branding, when I jumped into the elementary, it was our school is just celebrating 10 years. So when I got there, they had only been open 5 years. And this elementary was beautiful. This library is massive. It was beautifully done. But there was no life. It was very sterile. The lady who had been there before me, for whatever reason, it just wasn't her jam. She would rather do real estate. I don't know. I mean, like, it blew my mind. So she had never really done much with the space. It was beautiful again, but there was no theme, there was no displays, there was just books and shelves. And clean. It's very clean, and not that that's a bad thing, but I just was because I love being outside. I kind of Googled some themes. You're like, okay, what are some elementary themes? And as soon as I saw Camp Read Some More, I was like, that's me. And so the kid, like day one, I was building tents. So the I don't know if you don't have to play the video, but I did link a video at the bottom there because that will show you how I created it. I presented at FETC and a couple other places on how I created our space. So building the tents are super easy. We have our campfire up front. Um, and so all of that, you've got to define what you want, like that mission. And so with us, it's Camp Read Some Work. And the kids just, they see the tents, it's inviting, lots of outdoors. You have like wooden disc pillows and the fire pillows. And so anyway, tons more about the library space. So that I kind of had to come up with that idea first because I don't feel like you can brand something until you've got that mental space. So from there, next slide.
I didn't realize
This is
how
where camp.
big those tents
Oh,
were.
well, yeah, well. So
Those tents are
I don't know.
huge.
Go big or go home. Well, the space is like it's like about 25 feet tall, like in the open area, and it just the smaller ones when I found the instructions for it, it was like a little like for a kid's room, like a 4-foot one. And I'm like one kid could fit in there. And then like if I'm 6 feet tall, I'm a big girl. So I'm like, I was this big in like fifth grade. And so I'm like, a fifth grader's not gonna fit in a little 4-foot tent. So I was like, we gotta make them a little big. And plus they like to be in there together. And a certain number. And so yeah, so they most of them I think are 8 feet. So the kids can like really and they're good about it. I mean, they love them. I've only ever had one kid push one over intentionally, and we all learned our lessons. So other than that, they keep it pretty safe. But the husband said, "Please wait till I get home. Don't mess with the power tools." And I'm like, "Mm-mm." So I have like I posted a video one time, like safety glasses and or and I loved it. And so all of them have different fabric. It's like flannel fabric from like Joann's, and anyway, it's fun. The
Look how
kids
big they
like
are.
parents. Yeah, they're big. I mean, I can
They're
fit in them. I can walk straight through it. I was like, I gotta be able
wow.
to get in there with the kids. So it's fun. It's a great space. And so then I needed to brand it. So Canva is where yeah. So once you've got it, then we're gonna brand it. And so oh wait, you skipped one slide.
Oh,
Sorry.
I did slip it. Ooh, let me go back.
Did I slip one? Yeah, I missed one. Yeah, there it
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Okay.
there we go.
So my first thing was like I kind of had a color palette in mind, but I just kind of did a quick search on Canva for like I think I even just put in camping themes or whatever. And so a bunch came up, but the one that the arrow is kind of pointing to there that says camp rules, I immediately was like, okay, I love these simple graphics. I love the greens, the yellows, right? So I found that, and even though I mean I have rules, I didn't really use that for my rules. I just wanted that aesthetic. And so from there, you really got is once you kind of get that inspiration, like Jen, is the consistency throughout your space. So immediately I used it for like all of our signage. So on some of these pictures, where we've got the picture books and the chapter books and any of my owl numbers, and then the fiction have numbers. The nonfiction in the second picture, we have letters above it so that I don't have to walk all the way back there. I can say second shelf of letter J, that kind of thing. We have the big thing in elementary, the difference between fiction and nonfiction. So we've got, I mean, I was able to take, I didn't, I took some of the elements out because in the original design, there were like these people there. And I was like, I kind of want the people to go, but I just like the simplicity of a lot of that. But in the colors, I don't know, it just kind of grabbed my attention. And so I think the kids, like if you have too many things in there, a lot, and we have a lot of graphics. I mean, sometimes posters and things, but the things that are important, the things they really need to focus on, if they know, like, oh, that's it, they don't call it my brand, but they just know that this is something Miss Thompson's made. It's the colors, it's the style, whatever. And I feel like they focus on it more if they see that. So just that consistency. I did put another slide in there that was just some more information about our camp and my genreification, because when I went in, it was not genreified. That's my hill I'll die on. I can't fathom not genreifying because these kids, yeah, they okay, okay, good. I'm like, please tell me you're okay with this. Um, you ask a kid who wrote Harry Potter, most of them don't even know that now. They don't know J.K. Rowling. I mean, they don't know these authors' last names. So all I got every time the little girl would come up, "Do you where are all your princess books? Where are your mermaid?" And like, I don't know, they're everywhere. And so being able, I was like, that's the very first year. And my library aide, my parapro, she was like, "I don't know about this gentrification." Well, after the fifth or sixth mermaid, princess, like, where is this? And I kind of gave her like an article to read, like the Don't Shush Me Library. I was like, "Hey, just let me read this." And she was like, "I drank the Kool-Aid. Let's do it." And so, that was what was so, that helped us with that, because then now the kids are not that we don't have a job and still have things to do, but they're so much more self-sufficient and they feel independent. My girl that was asking me about the princess books now in fourth grade, because she was kindergarten, and now she can tell everybody else, "Oh, Miss Thompson did this because of me." I'm like, not necessarily, but yes, you were the trigger for that. And so, just the consistency. If you look at the next slide too, you can kind of see some more up closes. The branding. So just that's, I didn't make that pulse, sorry, but saving that color palette. And Jen, I had been working on that forever, on learning how to use the brand, and I saw that you had done it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. But saving that color scheme and my fonts, because there's sometimes I do other things, and then I'm like, I have to go back to my originals sometimes, or work off an original, make a copy to have all that there. So today, or actually yesterday, I figured out about the branding. I'm sorry, this keeps pulsing.
No, that's
But
okay. It's
keeping
important.
those fonts, it means it is important. But here's some of the other signs. So the other thing I did was apply it, like you said, we can resize these in Canva, which I love, but sometimes I just need to have all of that already on one size. And so I like, my presentations are now all in Canva, and I, for the most part, use that brand when I'm presenting. And so I already have a presentation. So on the fly, I can switch it. I can just make a copy. All the templates and stuff are there. The fonts, the colors, everything are there. I will say that I've started toying with a little brighter, because it seems one of the kids said, they're really I don't know, they came from art class. And so I was like, he's just need to make it pop. And I'm like, so not the one underneath. So my third little tip there with branding was always play around with new designs to maybe freshen things up. So I did one recently that we had a new book display. So there's like a wood grain background and like a little brighter yellow, and or yellow, excuse me. I'm in the South, yellow. Sorry, I have to catch myself. So sorry, I'm talking to people from up north. They're like, we don't understand this lady. So
No.
anyway, I do realize that sometimes we can freshen it up, we can play with it, and I do. And there's some things that we don't use this template for, but for the most part, after these 5 years, my kids, my parents, anything I send out, my newsletters, whatever, all are this way. And it's just that consistency. And it feels like just, ooh, like you just makes it important. I don't know. That's the best way I could put it.
Yeah, no, I love it. And you and Jen need to like collaborate, because I see like a
Yeah.
really great synergy here. I see these
Yeah.
two brands coming together.
And even
Awesome.
though they're very different, it's still just that having it makes, I mean, everybody knows it, and it just makes it important. I don't know. It makes them just feel like this is our hub, because we are
Awesome.
smack dab in the middle of the school, and they know what to expect. So,
Love it. Thank you.
you're welcome. Thanks, y'all.
Now we're
Yeah.
on to Sarah Kelly John. So Sarah, why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, I have been a school librarian for probably all of your lives added up together. Probably about 75 years, I think. But it's life. That's the life. I was in a mostly K-12 libraries, which means I know how to walk on eggshells. But I did supervise the elementary library for 2 years, and when they made it a full-time position, I almost went, but I didn't. I stayed with high school. And I am an adjunct professor at Syracuse University's iSchool School Library program. I teach literacy through school libraries. And I co-authored with Susan Ballard for the book, Elevating the School Library, Building Positive Perceptions Through Brand Behavior. So we had a lot of excitement. Now we're going to the professors. And I have two books that came out in 2024. The other one is strengthening library ecosystems, collaborating for advocacy and impact of all libraries working together. Right now, I'm at the NYLA conference. It starts tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock with our keynote speaker, whom you probably all know because you're going, yes, because it's Amanda Jones. And this is it is a conference of all library types. And I can't remember, I've been a member of NYLA for at least 60 of the 75 years. And I can't remember ever having a school librarian as our keynote speaker. So I said, let's get together after the webinar. And she goes, I'm in bed by that time. I got to talk tomorrow. And she will, and she will be marvelous. She has a lot to say. So I'm excited about being here in Syracuse. And it's 3.5 hours south of where I live. I live very close to the Canadian border in northern New York in the Adirondack Mountains. And we know, I really think Jen and I, you and I are probably on the same latitude. Yeah, our weather comes from Minnesota. Or Canada, one or the other. But I am excited about the book that Susan and I wrote, and it's really I have to admit, I'm actually going to read the first sentence of the introduction, and because it came to me in a dream. When I woke up, I wrote it down. And it's, if you think this book is about how to develop a logo and a tagline, or how to make yourself a recognized name in school library land, please return it before you crack the spine. Because our book is about, and I'm so glad that Jen and Robin did that part, because it is in there in our communications chapter, how important it is to have consistent colors and a tagline and a logo. But our book is about the school library program and the perceptions that people have, the expectations that they have about the brand. And we realize it is based on the experience they have at every point of contact with the brand. It's defined in my mind with user engagement, with UX and interaction. And it means that every encounter and transaction with our users must create positive, lasting memories with the brand, which increases the positive perceptions. It's not so much on transforming your image as it is building brand credibility, and then, excuse me, and then living up to it. It's often the critical factor in an individual's decision to use or not use a product or service, and that's so true about the library. Jeff Bezos was right on the money when he reportedly observed, your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. And praise and complaints about a brand are communicated and shared in the comments on a website and social networks. Type a brand name into a search engine and you find a lot of reviews. As a result of being so involved in social media. Most schools and libraries are considered nonprofit. They make no mistake about that. School libraries are in business. And it's the information and education business. And school librarians need to build a solid reputation for positive experience, interactions, and the return on the investment. School libraries are expensive. Just think about how much it costs to build those canoes. Okay, $5 for the mirror, the windows, mirrors, and doors. But we kind of have to. We really need to work on our brand as school librarians. Bring it up. How many of you need a degree to be a school librarian? Wait a minute, you don't wear your hair in a bun. Yeah, there's a lot of stereotypes But there's also the stereotype of a superhero librarian or a hipster or tattooed librarian, and that is fabulous. But what does your school community think about you? Think about your program. And we contend that that program needs to be so consistent and so consciously developed that when you leave, retired, new job, go from high school to elementary, that program, that brand identity stays. So, Seth Godin says it takes more than a hat to be a cowboy. So we really think that getting involved with something like I've got on the slide Morville's honeycomb, and I did a lot of research on business practices that can translate to school librarians, and I found Morville's honeycomb, and I had, one of the things about using something that's been branded is that you have to get permission. And I had delightful emails with Peter Morville when while he was giving us permission to use this. But if you translate, this is designed for websites, but I think that it adapts perfectly to school libraries. Because UX focuses on deep understanding of users, what they read, what they need, what they value, their abilities and limitations. That is what we do. A user-centered brand starts with investigation, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Investigating who our users are, what they need and want from our library and its programs. And, I thought, oh, I found something really important that really, the 6 measures are so applicable to school libraries, whether the user is a kindergarten learner with a class that's signing out just to write book on princesses, or a new classroom teacher who is taking the first step in collaborating with you on a learning project, a senior doing independent, strong research on the capstone project. But as I started doing more research on it, I found Suzanne Sandwalls, who's from San Diego, Union High School, and she worked as a corporate setting for 2 years before she became a school librarian. She also has decided, and she wrote a KQ article about it, that UX design form the basis for UX in the honeycomb to form the basis for UX design or library. She found that library experiences were more meaningful for her students when she listened to them, changed her practices to reflect their needs. And her 5 tips for improving learner experience, I think, are absolutely fabulous. So I'm even going to read them to you. Listen to yourself, listen to your users, be explicit, avoid being overly explicit, and start your perpetual beta now. And I really like that concept of perpetual beta, because all of us know that the library that we had 5 years ago, when it was a good program, is not the same library we have now that is also a good program, because it's a perpetual beta. We did a survey that asked how people develop their school library brand in relation to school library, to their school and program, its mission, its needs, its culture. And Iris Eichenlaub responded, "My job is to constantly assess and adapt and respond to the needs and interests of our community. If the library is the same in 5 years, I'm not fulfilling my mandate." So UX translates. So next slide, Kristina. Well, how do you start branding or rebranding your library program to up your user perceptions? when I say we, I mean Susan Ballard and I, we have found after talking to various groups about our book, and one of the things that they say about it all the time is it's very accessible. It's not, it's very practical, and that's exactly what we were going for. So, but after talking to various people, they really feel that using the Appendix B checklist for school librarians can spur your planning after a lot of reflection. It's based on the Daniels and Marzano evaluation instruments, and it was developed by Susan for her district where she was a library supervisor. And the secret is it's the one from which the checklist in the AASL standards was developed. And the secret is it's fuller. The one in our book is fuller. You can fill it in yourself and reflect, or you can fill it in yourself and then give it to your school administrator. And what we have found is that usually the school administrator gives you better grades than you give yourself. You don't have to tell them what you said. But we also have a facility audit in the book that really made me think about Robin's experience of walking into a library that was very, can I say sterile? Probably, you know, it was all there, but it was sterile. And so as we debated and researched and wrote, we decided that before you start thinking, when you want an extreme do-over, and I'm talking about the facility, not the brand, as Jen talked about, but before you start thinking about paint colors or how to arrange it, you make sure that you've dotted your I's and crossed your T's. And a needs assessment, define long and short-term goals and objectives. And you referred to the data, or is it data? And there's a story about that too, Kristina. But what observations have been made as people use the school library and its resources? Do a lot of watching. Is there sufficient data collection and analysis to understand trends and predict and plan for when and how to address them? Have you talked about intellectual access to space and collection? Is that website that you design discoverable, accessible, and useful? Sometimes a lot of places you don't get too much to say about the design, but use every inch of what you can do to make it discoverable, accessible, and useful. But the time that it takes, and you can't do everything in this book in 1 year, you have to start somewhere. But it's really time well spent, because you can change the world. You can change the impact that your students, teachers, and your community have when they interact with you, because you have a brand identity. But as Maya Angelou says so many wonderful things, but she's attributed as saying, do the best you can until you know better. And then when you know better, do better. We can all do better. And the positive perceptions are the bottom line of why you put your time into brand identity. And colors, logo, tagline, they count a lot. They absolutely count a lot. But think about people's perceptions, people's expectations. They know that they can count on every time they go into the library, whether it's through the website or through walking in the door. So
Sarah, what I love about your book, it's not just about branding, it's about library programming. And you and I, we both read a lot of business books. I find that business books help me market library programs and library ideas better. So I read a lot of business books. And I love that your book takes those business ideas and applies it to the library. So a person who's not reading the business books, or a Seth Godin, or like the Heath brothers, and you've kind of put it in library language
Yes,
that is accessible to librarians who are not reading those business books. So that's what I
yeah.
love about your book. And again, it's not just branding, it's about creating that library that does have that positive perception that, people want to go to and people want to be there, and through, the marketing and through the branding. But just friends, everyone who's watching this webinar, this is a fantastic book, and it's very, very accessible.
ALA, and if you contact me, I can give you a code for
Oh,
you both cost.
okay. All right. Thank you so much, Sarah.
You're
And we're
welcome.
going to go down to Kevin. So thank you, Kevin, for joining us.
Hi, everyone. So glad to be with you this evening and to be part of this amazing panel of wonderful folks who are talking about something that is, especially for this juncture in the world, very important. And so, before I want to say one thing about Sarah's book, and I just love it, and I've been a big fan, and I have made tons of recommendation for it. And I predict that this will become part of the school library canon of professional resources. I mean, it is that good. So if you don't have a copy of it, and if whether you should get one for your personal professional library, but get to your nearest library and get your hands on it, because it is valuable resource. But I'm Kevin Washburn. I'm the Director of Library Programs for DC Public Schools. I've been in this position for 5 years now. I come this by way of Charlotte, North Carolina, where I spent most of my professional practice as a school librarian there. So I've been in the profession for, I think I'm going on 28 years now. And like Sarah, I'm also an adjunct lecturer, but unfortunately, I don't just stay with one. I kind of spread myself around. So I was so grateful this past year to join Rutgers, and I have a long time standing relationship with the University of Maryland and my alma mater. I do teach for the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, and all of these works are part of the master's in library science program, specifically under school library concentration. I teach a variety of courses, but mainly focused on collection development and or curriculum for school librarians. I am currently the chair-elect for the AASL Supervisors section, and I am the past president of DC Library Association. And so the information I want to share with you this evening is more along the lines of my work as a administrator in the school district, and how I feel that the role of branding is the perfect way for you to be able to elevate your presence and showcase yourself as part of your advocacy, not just for yourself, but for the profession. And so the thing that I have seen, and a lot of the things that I'm going to share are in Sarah's books and has also been stated by other members on this panel, is it is important that you become a reflective practitioner. And so by honing in on those skills of reflecting on what you do, why you do it, and why it matters, that's going to better enable you to tell your story. And so in my work, working with librarians and developing librarians, that is often the hardest thing that they do, because they're so busy doing the job and trying to set out, the pathways of joy for so many students. They never really have the time to step back and say, here's all the great stuff I do. Here's all the things that I accomplish in the given time period. Here's all the hats I wear. So see the little graphic where, and, I was thinking, many, many years ago, boy, I've got a lot of stuff to do. I wear all these hats all day long. And it's in part of my identity. It's actually that brand identity tells a little bit about who I am to the world. And so at some point in time, you're going to have to say, okay, I'm comfortable with the world knowing this part, but this is my private life. And these are the things that are, you got your professional arena, and then you got your personal arena. And so sometimes they blend over, sometimes they don't. So that becomes the area where you are focused on, that's the protective part that I want to try to keep, regulated to my personal life, my family, etc. But then in terms of putting your message out to the world, there are things that you do during the day and during over time that you should be tracking and celebrating. In this age of social media, we see librarians doing this all the time, but I don't necessarily always think that it's getting to the right audience that needs to see it. And so in my work leading the district that I'm with, what we try to do is focus on honing in the message that librarians are communicating to their administrators, to their school community, to grow their partnerships. And so that creates value, and that value creates sustainability, so that you're always looking at creating that pathway for what's the next great thing, how you're innovating and moving the bar further ahead for the joy and wonderful experience of your students. So, and the other great thing about this is as you're reflecting on this enables you to set your own kind of benchmark for what's next. I've accomplished all this, but what else do I want to learn? What do I want to do in the future? And again, life is incredibly busy. And we know that marriage between, your work life and your personal life, it can be difficult and challenging. But the one thing that helped me to become a better reflective practitioner, and this was, wow, a long time ago, that I went through this process of becoming nationally board certified school librarian. And by doing that level of dedicated training, it really honed in on what it meant to understand what I was doing and why I was doing it and what it meant in the big picture things. And so if you ever have a chance to do that kind of work where you can step back and reflect on what you're doing and what it means, and it will become a valuable part of your professional practice. And you don't have to do this every day. You just have to set time aside. Say, at the start of the month, I'm going to set aside and look at everything I accomplished during the past month and how that helped to grow the work that I'm doing in terms of the reputation, the appreciation or knowledge of the community, so that it does have lasting value over time. Christine, the next slide, please. Okay, so with all this said, for me, I am often looking at what it means for how I can be able to better market my own skills. And so there are things that I'm now much more comfortable sharing. And so these associated graphics are part of my own personal identity. But it took a long time for me to get to that level of comfort. I'm definitely waving the pride flag now. And so it's taken me, to be able to just get a true sense of who I am and what that means. But not everybody is comfortable on that journey to get there. So what's going to happen is there will be stages where you will say, this is where I have gotten to be more comfortable with sharing my personal life or personal elements. And so how this connects to your brand is that small things like you might be a fan of Twizzlers, and the Twizzlers might be an element that becomes part of your brand. And so you are going to create the Twizzler Hall of Fame in your library, and that's going to be your go-to recognition award for kids. They may like licorice better than they like Twizzlers. So you may end up having a whole debate about the, what's it, good and plenty kind of thing, where, is one rivaling the others? And it's like, so you may have Twizzlers and licorice in your library battling it out for which is the best incentive to keep reading. So there's so many possibilities that can happen when you think about bringing yourself into the mix. And so all of this and helps you to really hone in on being the best you can be. And so I'm not saying that this is something you can accomplish overnight, because it's all about personal preference. It's also about your degree of comfort, but just know that, as part of looking at your brand identity again, recognizing what you're comfortable with sharing with others, that you have the ability to create unlimited possibilities and unlimited joys for being part of the process and making even more personal connections to your community. And that's what I wanted to share, because everyone's done such an amazing job, and I wanted to bring a different reflection. So I am Kristina. Kristina, I'm so grateful to have been part of this group. I just love the message.
I love it. Kevin, your your hope and your message is not just for school librarians, it's for teachers. Bringing yourself and being that human element in your classroom. We're teaching kids, we're not teaching curriculum. There are human beings in our libraries, there are human beings in our classrooms, and you're giving us that validation. Be yourself, be you, bring yourself to your children,
Mhm.
be present in the moment, and self-care. And I just you're this is just a joy. Thank you so much. Branding is not only what again, the colors, the fonts, the vibe of your library, and how you're sharing it. It's also you. The library, I always feel like, is a reflection of the librarian, because
Mhm.
you spend so much time, putting the collection together and putting the programming together. Yes, classroom teachers do that as well, but librarians affect the whole school. The whole
Yeah,
school. It's the level playing field for every child. Libraries are for everyone. So thank you for reminding us of that.
wonderful.
Thank you, everyone, for your wonderful presentations. Thank you for Book and Author for being our sponsor yet again, and for offering raffle for Hacking School Libraries. I can't thank Book and Author enough. Honestly, I don't know what time it is, because I've been just so absorbed. I don't know if we have time for a few questions here and there, but Yobi, if you could tell us what's going on in the chat, if anyone has any questions. But I want to thank all of you, my friends, all of you, for taking the call, for saying yes, like you always do for me, like you always do for libraries, and always being there, and always promoting libraries for everyone. I want to thank you all. I can't thank you ever enough. I hope you understand that. So Yobi, would
This
you like
just
to share
felt
anything?
so refreshing just to listen. Like, I mean, because I don't know anybody, besides you, Christine, and like just, realizing I'm talking to Sarah Kelly Johns now. I'm like, I think it took a second for me to realize. I was like, wait, hold on. And so I've been doing a little quick Google, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, big deal. And then like Kevin, I mean, it's been so refreshing. Like, it's 8 o'clock at night, and my kids are like, "Are you really gonna get?" Yes, I'm getting on it. But it was just, it's like, that feeling after a conference where you just have like this, like everything y'all said just helped. Even, I mean, just, I don't know. It was just really good,
Yeah,
very
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank
That's
you.
the vibe we want.
I feel
Thank
like
you,
I got tons
everyone.
from it. I hope everybody else got tons from it. But I'm just like, this was amazing.
This is very inspiring for someone who's not a librarian. So Christina, if you can unshare the screen. We have all the participants now, and they can unmute and ask their questions, say something that they want to share. But to me, as someone who's not a librarian, I do a lot of work with literacy programs, authors, and schools. But this is really inspiring to know what are all the work that you have. Robin, when you were sharing, I was just like, what time do you do that? With what time? And when you're talking about all of the designs and stuff that you're doing, I'm just like, what? Did she just say night? Did she just say at night? She scheduled at night? And
Mhm.
you're all hours. And
It
I
took me
think you
forever
were,
to get diagnosed with adult ADHD. So
Yeah,
I don't
I
same.
sit
mean,
still well. Like I like I'm yeah.
I mean,
So
Yeah.
it's dedication to your